Hey YouTube, hey everyone, I'm back and it's the Dave D. Show. Oh my god, did you win? I think I won the Powerball. No one won the Powerball. No one won the Powerball. 24, 25, 52, 60, 66, 5 as the Powerball. Yeah, I had 22, 25, 52, 9. So, yeah, there's my 5 quick picks with Power Play, of which I didn't win anything. So, the Powerball jackpot is now roughly upwards of $750 million. The Powerball has a draw on Wednesday night at 10 Eastern, I think, and on Saturday night at 10 Eastern. That's when they pull these numbers. The rules of the game go like this. They pull 5 numbers from a pot that has up to, 70 or whatever it is. So you have that whole pool of numbers that they pull 5 balls from. They then go to a separate pot that has 60 numbers in it, 50 numbers in it, I don't know. And they pull another entirely separate ball, the Powerball. In doing this and driving the game that way, the odds are roughly 1 in 302 million for Mega Millions. And that's not Powerball, but it's the same thing on another game. Or 1 in 292.2 million for Powerball. That's 1 in every person in the country. Every living person in this country. If we all walked over to our 7-Eleven, our Shell, our Exxon, our Quickie Mart, our whatever, and purchased a ticket, 1 person would win. And there's so many other things that are tied to that when you start to get into the statistics of it. But you are 25,000 times more likely to hit a hole-in-one than you are to win the Powerball jackpot. You hear those comparisons. Somewhere I read the other day that I'm something like 1,000 times more likely to have quintuplets. And I sat there and I was like, no, I am never going to have quintuplets because I can't have children. But when you look at whatever the odds are for attaining something, having quintuplets, hitting a hole in one, whatever, I guess you have to look at the pool of participants that drive those odds. Because many of us will say, I'm a male, I'll never have children, but you'll impregnate a female and the two of you will have children, so you have quintuplets. Or I'm an individual that never plays sports. I don't even know how to golf. I've never touched a golf club. Doesn't matter. Out of all the individuals in the country that play golf, the odds of those individuals hitting a hole-in-one is 1 in 25,000 times more likely than you, or 25,000 times more likely than you winning the Powerball. So, yeah, it's astounding when you see those comparisons. It's really weird too. About 2/3. Ow, I got sunburned yesterday. We went to the beach. Sunburned. How's the blizzard? Subtropic, man. You can move down here too. A lot of people are. Though I've also heard that a high percentage of, I think, 57 or 60-year-olds onward are moving out. And it's increasing annually. 2 years ago, it was something like 8 or 10%. Last year, it was 12%. This year, it's 14%. Of the age group in Florida that falls from 57 to retirement or whatever, or past retirement, 57 to 75, 80, they're moving back north. And the driving feature of that has been the natural disasters, the climate, the flooding down in Miami, the hurricanes over on the Panhandle, the hurricanes on this side. So you've got an older group that are highly worried about their long-term care, their full-time care, and then the power outages, the flooding, and the natural disasters. And it seems to be spooking the retirees, the older generations down here. So they're moving out. Okay, back to the Powerball. About two-thirds of Americans gamble. So if there's 300 million, 200 million gamble. What? Do you gamble? I do gamble occasionally, as I just showed you with my Powerball. However, I usually pick the Powerball tickets, which I don't pick at all. And Tracy said to me, didn't you go to California a while ago, a couple weeks ago? I did. And I went to the amazing Zoltar. I got 2 Zoltar Speaks fortunes, which maybe that nullified them. I should have only gotten the one, and that one would have been spot on. But if you look at the Zoltar Speaks very closely down at the bottom, he gives me numbers, my lucky numbers. Oh, why didn't I play those? I don't think any of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, any of the 12 numbers, maybe 1, 25, were in any of the picks recently. But she said, why don't you play those numbers? Well, I don't play any numbers because the odds are so astronomically ridiculous, as we all know, if anybody that studies statistics or knows odds, that just having quick picks, you're just as likely to win. And having a quick pick, a single, you're just as likely to win. And when you buy multiples, and when I say when you buy multiples, if you buy tens, hundreds, thousands of tickets, your odds are still the same as almost 1. You're just as likely to win. Until you start eating into all the variations of numbers statistically, and then you start to place tickets and print out purchases on those tickets in those statistical numerical orders, you really don't have any impact on the odds. And it has to be substantial. Because the odds are 1 in 292 million, you have to pick a percentage of that. So let's figure, what's a solid percentage of you to think that you'll win something? Well, I think the odds to win 5 numbers without the Powerball are something like 1 in 12 million. And when you hit 5 numbers without the Powerball, you win $1 million. And then if you hit the Power Play option, you have the ability to double that, only double. Even though the Power Play option goes up to a factor of 10 times, on that level, it only doubles the prize. So your $1 million becomes $2 million. So if it's 1 in 11, 12 million, 11,900,000 or something like that thousand, then you'd have to play 12 million statistical lines of numerical numbers to potentially win that 1 million with a Power Play $2 million prize. Those aren't good odds. You've just spent $12 million to win 2. Ooh, damn you. This game is built that way so that the game creators never lose. That's what any smart gaming establishment, including Las Vegas, does. They have a minute majority in the percentages of winning. The closest game to being a 50-50 split where you win or I win, it's 50-50. When we do an action, there's a half chance that you win or a half chance that I win. That's not good for game makers because that means that they're only going to split the game proceeds. And they have to front the game cost. Either the dealer or the chips, the location, the experience. So they're going to actually be in the hole over the statistical long haul. They have to force it so that they have a percentage of majority to win. Their statistics are slightly higher, and when they do that, you make a profit as a game maker. and you provide that entertainment, gambling. The closest that you can get to winning is the pass line at craps in Las Vegas. That gives you something like a 49.8 or 49.5 percentage of win. And the house, the casino, has a 50.4 or 50.5 or 50.2% to win. And therefore, they still marginally eke you out. So if you play 10 times, they're going to win 5.2 times, you're going to win 4.8 times, and they win. They take a little more than you do. That's gaming if you don't know statistics in gambling. You'll never be a winner if you gamble continually. However, that's outweighed by the amount of fun that individuals that gamble have, the entertainment. So, back to Powerball. I'd have to play 12 million times to win potentially $2 million. So it's just as smart to pick one sequence of numbers randomly or through the machine, a quick pick with the Powerball variant, and then play that and play with the entertainment and the fantasy that maybe you will win, when in fact, because of those odds, 1 in 292.2 million, you'll never win. What you might win, 1 in 12 million, is $1 million, which is still pretty extraordinary odds because there's about 20 million in this state. That means that almost one person in Florida will win those 5 numbers without the Powerball, because that's almost the entire state. Eek! God, that's a lot. But that's per person if we all bought one entry, right? There's usually multiple purchases. As I've showed you, I had 5 quick picks for $15 because when you play the Power Play installment, which has an incremental increase in your prize, it adds $1 to your ticket cost, which is normally $2 for the Powerball ticket. Power Play adds $1, so it's $3. So I buy 5 of those times 5 is $15 that the lottery establishment just took from me for the second week in a row, second installment in a row, because I played for this Saturday, yesterday's draw, and I played for Wednesday's draw. I usually play when the jackpot is higher than the total odds. So once it goes above 300 million, I start to buy those tickets, and that's fun for me. If it's below that jackpot, you're just giving... Yes, so, as I said, about 200 million Americans gamble. 2/3 of every American. And I think that's including children. Americans in general. And I don't know what gambling's classified as. I think gambling is classified as playing a game for some type of monetary or material stake. Meaning it doesn't have to be money. It can be a trade. You can gamble for some kind of good. But it's for some type of valued reward or material item, which money is. And therefore, last year, I think Americans spent 80 billion. What? $80 billion gambling. 80 fucking billion dollars gambling. That's bigger than some countries' budgets on traditional lottery tickets. Dude, lottery tickets. $80 billion on lottery tickets. What the fuck? A piece of the dream. Living the dream. Buying the dream. And I think that there's a very minute percentage of individuals who win and live the dream. And let's say you play your lottery ticket. Boop. You hit your 5 numbers, not the Powerball or the Mega Ball. You win your $1 million prize. You have the Power Play or the Mega Millions multiplier. You double that prize, $2 million. You take the cash out. The cash, you don't take an annuity. I don't even know if you can take an annuity for the lesser prizes, not the jackpot. And therefore, the lottery agency pays you 59%, let's say, maybe 60%-ish of your winnings, because you have to pay your government taxes and all the associated fees that go with that winning. And it's somewhere around 32, 35 to 40, 41% that they take. So if you won $1 million, 50% of that is $500,000. 60% is $600,000. If the institutions through fees, through taxes and other charges take 41%, take 35%, you walk away with $650,000, $700,000. They take 30, 35, 40%. If you win $2 million, it's a little more, right? It's $1.5 million approximately. $1,480,000, $500,000 that you walk away with net, scot-free. $1.5 million. Dependent upon your age, are you 20? Are you 30? Are you 45? Are you 60? What would your next action be in life with winnings of $1.5 million? Which is attainable. 1 in 12 million odds. Not 1 in 300 million for a jackpot, which is ludicrous. We will never win that. We'll never win 1 in 12 million. You might. You got better odds. About 10 times better, right? Maybe 20 times better. What would you do? Would you quit your job? Would you call in tomorrow? Would you not call in? Would you go to your lawyer? Would you talk to your neighbor? Would you talk to your parents, your family, your children? Would you have a family meeting? We just won the lottery. What are we going to do? Would you consult a banker, a lawyer, a financial planning consultant? Would you do nothing? Would you immediately purchase something? Some things? Would you go on a vacation? Would you buy a car? Would you pay off your house? Would you buy your mother a house? Could you imagine the things that we can do? Probably impulsive, hopefully planned, possibly highly rational and intelligent, that $1.5 million could now provide you with the material goods, so that a large burden in your life, your ability to pay your bills, your ability to live at a specific means, your ability to live a life of whatever for you those means, your health, your mental, your social welfare, are now met. You need no more. Because in the realm of a lifetime of an adult's career, if we make $60, $80, $100, $150, $200,000 annually, it takes us 5, 10, 15, 20 years to make the kind of money we just won. Veritably an adult career. The things that 365 days a year, minus weekends and holidays, vacation days, sick days, that you spend the majority of your adult waking hours performing, such that you can live a specific life with specific entertainment, specific responsibilities, with specific activities, family-oriented, fun-oriented, personally oriented, gift giving, if you donate, church-based, whatever. Isn't that amazing? What would you do? Pose the question. I don't know. And none of us really think of that answer because we relatively were mostly aware that we'll never win. But it's the fun in purchasing this ticket and then daydreaming about what could happen. Yeah, it's rather interesting. This silly pastime, this silly activity that a big majority of this country participates in for some slice of fantasy, for some slice of reality that for the most part we know we will not attain. Which, if you look at the statistics nowadays, there are somewhere in the realm of more than 10 million United States millionaires. We have more millionaires than some countries, like Iceland, I think, has population. So we clearly have attained in our combined wealth in this country and our combined success and our professional output in our adult endeavors as a country, as individuals, as private or public businesses, as whatever. We have attained a level of wealth and welfare greater than ever in history. 10 million millionaires. And in many instances, when you read the internet, you look at the web, you listen to friends, you listen to media, you listen to news, having $1 million nowadays is nothing that would enable you to retire comfortably. Comfortably. What does comfortably mean? Well, the mean cost for a house nowadays is somewhere in the realm of $400,000. Maybe not that high. Maybe $290,000, $300,000, $350,000. Mean, middle. That means that there is an entire population above and an entire population below that. So that's astounding. Many people I know have $1 million homes. $1 million homes. And they are my peers. They're younger than me. They're older than me. It's almost irrelevant. But there seems to be much more wealth in this country. And yet, we hear of poverty. We hear of starvation. We hear of lack of ability for education, for food, clothing, shelter, water. We hear of child neglect, child abuse. So it's not the fact that there is not wealth. It is more the socioeconomic, the social issues in this country, the lack of parenting, the lack of a single parent, the immigrant children that are dropped off here from any country in South America, the Caribbean, Europe, Asia, whatever. The ports of Miami, Los Angeles, the airports where all these individuals are brought into this country. You know, the smuggling and all the shit going on, which has increased awareness, though I'm not sure of the scope or size of the problem. If you look at the border in Texas, in Mexico, Texas, and all of these people storming that border to try to come across. From what I've read, and who knows about the media and the news anymore, it's always a perspective from a group. And often that group has whittled that perspective down so that those numbers weigh in their favor. And that's always been the case. It just is much more polarized nowadays because the groups that are out there have taken a much more aggressive stance to prove their points of correctness. And in fact, what we've done is we've moved away from actuality, from fact. And it's very specific on how these numbers are selected. Just like the statistics that we look at for the Powerball or the Mega Millions. Those are fact. When in fact, when you look at news, they're polls, they're references, they're statistics that are highly filtered and managed so that they share a statistical output that's favorable for some group, right? And that's much more common nowadays, to the point where it comes across as, oh, that's fake news. Fake news. So it's really weird how everybody seems to think that they have to share their perspective and it has to be fantastic. when in fact it seems like the number of immigrants that are coming into this country in the last 10 years has diminished drastically until recently with this Trump and this wall and this empathetic, sympathetic view of individuals in this country who think we should have open borders. Fucking psychosis. Yes, share it with the world. I understand the altruistic views of many people and I applaud them. It's a beautiful view. It's not reality. It never has been and it never will be. Socialism cannot exist because of the human factor. Socialism destroys itself in competition. No one willfully gives up their means, especially if they're asked to work and produce to those means. And then they can visibly compare themselves to other individuals whom they measure their means and output against. I work harder than that person. Why do they get as much as I do? And there's the erosion of socialism. And it's at an individual level that, of course, catastrophically extrapolates into a much larger level. Group level, which is where this country is right now. And it was funny. I just read an article by a general who said, and he's a retired general, he said we have to be very careful with our ethnic and our cultural beliefs. Balkanization, and if you don't know what the term is, look it up. Balkanization. It's coined after the Balkan Peninsula, after the Croatian, the Serbian, the Croat, and the Muslim occupied territories in what was the former Yugoslavia, which ethnically and physically ripped itself apart to the point where they had internal strife, civil war, and the militaries, the Serbian military especially, performed acts of genocide and eradicated Muslim and Croat populations and buried them in mass graves during that conflict in the late 1990s and mid-1990s and early 1990s. Studied a bit, and they put to criminal tribunal those individuals in the Serbian army who eradicated those people. Tens of thousands of Muslims and Croats in a systematic cleansing, much like the Holocaust. Took them to a location, lined them up, fired a single bullet into the back of their head, put them in the ground, covered them in dirt, moved on to the next location. And is that horrific? Of course it's horrific. Is it surprising? Of course not, it's surprising. It's not surprising at all. That area has had strife. When you have groups of individuals that are piled upon each other with no physical border, lines on a map that says this is your section, that's my section. Humanity shows, just like it did in Eritrea and Ethiopia, just like it does everywhere. Conflict arises and it turns into all-out war and genocide. So back to the Powerball. On average, a person is spending $206.69 annually in this country on lottery tickets. $206. I know I'm below that. I think I'm more in the realm of $50 or less, because I play 5 quick picks at $3 each for $15 each round. I played last time and this time, so that's $30. And I only play when the lottery goes above the odds, which are 300 million. And that usually happens once or twice a year. So I'm around $50, maybe $60. So I'm below the $206.69 annual expenditure by each person playing the lottery in this country every year for lottery tickets alone. And that's astounding. But like the news and everyone else says, I want to take a moment out of my day, my life, and consider the big dream. That's what this purchase is. I'm not silly enough to know that I will likely win this, or even a percentage of it. 5 numbers, 11.9 million odds. I actually am purchasing the right to contemplate a potential windfall and a different life, a fantasy, the big dream. That's what I'm purchasing. And if you don't play, you can't win. Therefore, this ticket makes that connection in my brain that, now I have the free will, the desire. Now I have the right to dream that I potentially can win. If I didn't hold this in my hand, that would be silly daydreaming because I would have no means to potentially dream big. It's a terrible, terrible pursuit. It's giving money away. But this gives money away in a positive format that actually allows my brain, the endorphins, the daydream, the big dream, to take a moment and relax, release the strain, the stress, and go, wouldn't that be wonderful? And that's a coping mechanism for us as humans, for the animals that we are, and it's necessary for us to continue on. And you may or may not know it, but on a daily basis we take breaks and we allow our minds to do that. Our minds forcibly do that. They stop with the focus that we have, they take a break, and then they zone. Sometimes they zone thoughtfully, sometimes they zone unthoughtfully. It's just a haze, and then we refocus. That's coping, so that we can continue to operate the way that we operate in our jobs and in our lives every day, all day, every week, every month, all year, our entire life. Whoa. So that's pretty cool. And I appreciate all of that. And that's why I pay to play this event. And I find it enjoyable and fun. Why do you do it? And has it ever crossed the healthy and turned into the illness? And have you seen that? Or has it become obsessive where you have to pursue that and you convince yourself, I have a possibility of winning. I'm going to win. Those are very fine lines, and anyone, anytime, anywhere can cross those, especially with external pressures in our lives. Pressures from our children that aren't doing well, our families, our jobs that we lose, where we have change in our income, where we didn't get a bonus, where we have a lower performance measure, and now there's the possibility that we take a pay cut, where our skills that we have are becoming obsolete, where we're aging, where we don't have the initiative, where we just don't want to work anymore. Everyone experiences and encounters those. Most of us push through. Most of us. There's approximately 90-some million in this country that don't work, that are of a working ability. And that's not an agreed upon statistic. Those people are quantified as disabled. Those people are quantified as whatever. The number of people that want to work looking for gainful employment that aren't employed seemingly has shrunk down to a minute number, record lows. I don't believe that. I see so many people that don't work, right? I see the initiative in this country. My father told me long ago that would be the case. The country eats itself from the inside out. Without strife, without failure, without external pressures forcing change, without poverty, debt, struggle, when you have excess, when you have wealth, when you no longer have to work hard, when it's everywhere, when entitlement becomes a belief, I deserve. When you state that and the truth that we deserve nothing, we have nothing. You're brought into this world with nothing, and everything that you have is earned. It doesn't matter that you're born here in the United States. Those are governmental issued rights. What are my rights? Get born in Mexico. Get born in a boat in international waters where you're not within any government. You have no rights. Yet, nowadays, all we hear about is universal rights for health care, universal rights for education, for welfare, universal pay. Universal pay. Simply existing here, you have pay granted to you by the institution of the United States of America. Absurd! Yet that's where we are. All that aside, I choose to play the Powerball. And I will purchase another 5 quick picks with Power Play for the next go-round this upcoming Wednesday with the dream that I will win the Powerball. And when I do, we will have a very special podcast. I will share with you, maybe in the style of Floyd Mayweather, bags of money. Just so that you have envy toward me and my newfound riches, which you have no actual connection or exposure to. And I don't know what type of philanthropic approach I would take if I won whatever, half of $750 million. I know I would give much of that away, a high percentage. In a strange way, I think even to my family, I would take some philanthropic approach. My mother would get whatever she needs. She would have a blank check. Everyone else in my family, I would have to govern, and I don't know. But it would be personal, it would be my decision, and they would be well off. But I know in my family, including myself, we all have the ability for abuses. That's human. And boy, does that destroy wealth. Bad decisions. Anyway, that's my talk about the Powerball today and for next Wednesday's picks. So jump on board, boy, but it doesn't matter because when I'm winning, maybe I'll send you some money. Here's how I'm going to end this. I thought in a past job that I had, which was a good job that I really enjoyed and I spent multiple years there, and I had a lot of friendships, there was a lot of development, and ultimately I left. But I had a bell curve of individuals that were at that establishment with me. Most in the middle I knew and I worked with, and we were copacetic. We coexisted in the work environment. A handful on the top end were really good friends of mine, and some of those individuals had come in and gone out. They'd moved back to the middle. A few of those individuals from the middle, maybe that went up, or from the middle that I had experience with, actually went down, and they became people that I didn't get along with. Some in a strange manner, possibly because of my behavior toward them that I didn't really understand or gauge. And then when they had a change in their lifestyle, maybe they got money, maybe some things happened in their life, they found me to be conflicting. And they openly and outwardly expressed that on a number of occasions, which on a few of them I was shocked. What happened with my friendship with that person? What happened with my relationship with that person? They were angry the last time I talked to them. But what would happen when you won the lottery and in your philanthropic pursuit, you took a bag of money and you wrapped up $10,000 bundles with a $10,000 band? I don't know what that band is. It says 10,000 on it. I think it's maroon. I won a $5,000 band, and I think it's yellow or gold. But each band that they classify money in, and our banks in the United States under the Federal Reserve System has a color. I think the $10,000 band is red or maroon. I don't know, I can't remember. It's not bright red. But what if you packaged up 50 of those, and then you went to the location where you worked, or you went to a place that had a lot of people that you spent a lot of time with, and you walked around knowingly handing out money to the individuals that you liked and then passing by the individuals that you did not like. Such that when you had a friend, Mike, and you saw Mike in his cube, at his desk, at the station, whatever, working, and you walked up and said, "Mike, I've come into a lot of money and I want to share my winnings with you. Here's $10,000. And Mike is shocked. What? Oh my God. Oh, thank you. And he gives you, what are you doing? Or not $10,000. Here's $50,000. Whatever you gave them. My God, I can't. This is going to help so much. Oh, and then you move to the next person. And if it was in an open place, or even a semi-open place where people could see those reactions, which clearly wouldn't be quiet. Oh, thanks for the money, okay. And you moved on, some kind of event would stir. And what would happen when you passed an individual who stood there and said, oh, am I going to get money? And you walked by them and did not give them money. Would you, and I considered this myself, would I approach them and go, Bill, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any money for you. I hope you have a good day. And move on. Or would you simply ignore them? I think the more humane thing would be to say nothing and move on. Maybe not humane, because they might sit there and consider, wait, I know Dave. Did I not? Oh, I have a pretty good relationship with him. Why didn't he give me money? What kind of psychological warfare would that be? I don't know. But I contemplated that many years back, passing wads of money out to people that I wanted to enrich their lives from my success or my winnings, and yet knowfully or knowingly not giving some individuals there who, for one reason or another, I did not have a relationship or a healthy relationship with, passing them by and not giving them any reward or any money. Yeah, so that was strange. But I wanted to leave you on that note for you to think about. And the human psyche and the human behavior, very, very depth-oriented, multifaceted. Well, but that's my thoughts for the day. Happy Powerball winnings. Good luck with your lottery or your Mega Millions. Go and play. Pay to play. If you don't pay, you can't play. And I won't give you money. Maybe I will. Dave DUI Show, out.